All right, what's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. In this video, we're going to be talking about some campaign updates on the election and whatnot, stories or things that have come out here. News has come out here with Harris, her kind of snapping on some protests who were interrupting her in the Detroit rally a couple of days ago, along with some border issues with her. You know, that's like a big issue in the election for a lot of people is border, politics and stuff, policies and whatnot. And she released an ad, kind of being a little hawkish on the border, um, really just claiming what she's done with the border and that she just continues to plan on doing that. Actual like things that she did or well she was helped with in the Biden administration, um, and along with Trump's little press conference. I think it was yesterday. We're just going to go over all of that and what I feel about it, and talk about what's going on, uh, and just giving updates on how things are going. If in the let me get swapped over here. So yeah, a couple of days ago, well, I guess it was either I guess it was Thursday. I think it was. Her she had a rally in Detroit, and in the middle of her Detroit rally. Now, Michigan has been one of those states that's got had a pretty broad uh, uh, Palestinian uh, citizens and stuff, and and that's where the big like movement. A lot of the when we had back in the primaries, your no vote or no what was it? Uh, Not no commitment vote. Yeah, no commitment vote was pretty strong. Whatnot. This was pretty big in Michigan. So now before this rally, um, Harris actually went and spoke with some of the like leaders of the no commitment movement in Michigan. And it come out that it was, as far as what I could see from reports, that it was um, a good meeting. Letting them talk and then go, uh, accepting of their, uh, but them calling for like demilitarization or like not sending so many weapons and whatnot to Israel, allowing them to continue to commit the atrocities and stuff that they're doing in Gaza. And she, from what I understood in the reporting, she pretty much said that she would be looking at that and was open to doing something like that. As far as like uh, bringing down the amount that we are sending to them constantly. Um, I mean, I hoped it would be just completely cut off. I wish it was cut off right now, but either way, there was it's come out that it was uh, a pretty good discussion for the most part. Um, but here in her rally, there were a group of individuals that protesters and stuff that were chanting in the back of the room, uh, uh, something to the effect of am I trying to remember what they were saying? Um, we see you, Kamala, or something like that, or you can't hide, Kamala, or something. I don't know, something to that effect, and that they were not going to. We won't vote for a genocide, something to that effect. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of you can't hide. We won't vote for a genocide. Um, I think it was like Kamala Harris, you can't hide. We won't vote for genocide, something like that. Uh, and they were steadily repeating that. And so she, in the middle of it, has two kind of Um, 2 points where she stops, and first it was kind of her just being like, everybody has a right to their, to speak, and that it's okay, whatnot. And then she makes this kind of comment where she's like, "But I am speaking now," um, and she tries to continue, and then that's when, after continuing for about another 30 seconds or 45 seconds or so, she apparently gets a little perturbed and she just snaps. So let's watch the video and see this.
It's all good.
Before she takes it kind of carefully.
It's all good. I'm here because we believe in democracy. Everyone's voice matters, but I am speaking now. I am speaking now. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
All right, so like your first one was pretty much, trying to be trying to at least appear as she's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody has a right to speak. But then she does get a little quirky there. I am speaking now, though. Which gets a little bit of a ruse. And then she continues. This was cut, but she continues, like I said, for about another 45 seconds, maybe to a minute of talking, before she finally gets that point right there, right here.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
Was that the whole video?
Speaking.
She kind of did this little, I don't know, I can't do it, but anyways, she made a look. She made a little, disappointed mother kind of look, and I have seen other. I didn't find it here when I was trying to search, but I have seen video that was facing towards the protesters, and you can see, there was a crew of people, I guess Kamala, like security or whatnot, or just people, maybe security for the facility or somebody. A group of them come up and was trying to just like, at first they weren't really trying to push them out or anything. They were just trying to get them to like calm down. But these, it looked like mostly women, whatnot. I couldn't exactly place that. It was like 2 or 3 main ones that were right up in front, but there was the group was probably a good 4 or 5, 6 maybe. So I couldn't quite see exactly how many or who all it was. But they were pretty adamant about continuing the chant, and weren't stopping. I think that's what perturbed Kamala to snap. Now, I guess the only defense I really could give for Kamala is that maybe she didn't know exactly what they were saying. I don't know. Maybe, especially saying it. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to say, unless you want Trump to win, just say it or something. Otherwise, I'm speaking like. It seemed kind of weird to say that. I mean, unless she's just arguing, hey, why are you doing that here? I'm somewhat on your side. So you should be doing that at a Trump rally if you want to make that argument. But in the protesters' defense, she's a part of the administration that is continuing to allow what's going on in Gaza to go on. What's going on and allowing Israel to continue doing what they're doing there, along with the further widespread issues that are starting to escalate quickly, which we will get into another video here in a minute on. But yeah, it's just it didn't come off very well to me. It come off obviously strongly to this crowd, to probably regular Democrats, maybe someone who I don't know. But for me, it doesn't come off very well. I think she should have been a little bit more understanding of them. Maybe even addressed it that way. Maybe address them specifically and like make them make them feel like at least she's listening and that she's going to be trying her best to do something about it. Because that's the other issue. She really hasn't even talked much about Israel or Gaza or what's going on over there. She had her little press conference after Netanyahu came, and she made her little comments on that kind of went viral on that, showing that she potentially could be a little bit more hard on the issue than, or hard on Israel than Biden has obviously been, or not been. But here, just snapping off like an upset parent or something or whatever, it come off to me a little rude and a little dismissive. And she should have been a little bit more understanding. I don't think it's going to help. And this is where the whole thing with Walls comes into play. How he can help bridge issues like this with Kamala, where she does have this sometimes moments and abilities to come off a little crass. I mean, it's like, he comes off a little bit more understanding in many ways. And while he even hasn't been perfect on this issue, he at least has clearly, stated and argued, against what's going on over there. And would very much was to see he was one of the first governors to even call for a ceasefire, straight out, like, and it has continued to argue that, and state that it's out of hand, basically, to some degree. So this is where he will help balance this, but this does not look good on her. This is the reason why she will have a hard time with younger crowds and stuff because of stuff like this. It just didn't look good all the way around. But yeah, they tried to. They first were kind of just kind of calming them, and then after a few minutes, they did wind up getting them to move and go out. I think of the arena. But they were steady. They were steadfast on doing their chant and making their protest, and well deserved, or they certainly deserve to, and have the right to. But they also were not a part. It did come out that they were not like a part of the no commitment like group party or whatever for this like. They were not affiliated with it, so it wasn't like, because that was, I think, that was one thing that I was thinking immediately, like, maybe she snapped off this because she may have been thinking, look, I literally just had a conversation with this group or whatever, and now they are interrupting my rally. That maybe I thought maybe that might have been somewhat of a defense on her side for acting like this or coming off like this, and maybe even in the moment that's what she was thinking. I don't know. But it did come out that they were not affiliated, so so this isn't really any kind of she I think she should come out. she probably won't, but it would be good if she come out saying, "Look, I apologize for especially if she was to learn, if that was on her mind in the moment, and if she learned afterwards, whatever that what they were saying or whatnot, she come look, and made some sort of a apology to some degree, about that. It would come off better and it'd be forgiven. I'm pretty sure, but it was a bit of a. Now, some people will probably go against me and say that she had every right to act that way, and they actually think it was strength and blah blah blah. And well, I can, that's fine. I get you. I understand, but it still come off a little bit Karen-y like. So, anyways, now going on. So the border thing, she puts out a new ad that makes her kind of look a little border hawkish a little bit. So Vice President Kamala Harris's new campaign ad features a deep voice speaking over images of Border Patrol agents, the border wall, and seized pills and guns. It describes Harris, the former Attorney General of California, as border state prosecutor who took on drug cartels and jailed gang members, and says that Harris, if elected president, will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl smuggling and human trafficking. So this is the ad. Well, I'll play it out for you. Let you see. Oh, my bad. Hold on. The sound is not on. Here we go.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
All right, so yeah, there it was. She's tough on border, apparently. So, polling shows immigration is a weak spot for Harris with voters, mostly pretty much Republicans, but probably even some Democrats as well. Republicans have labeled Harris's border czar, trying to lay the blame for the border's immigration struggles at her feet and overstating her diplomatic tasks as VP to reduce the root cause of migration. Republicans have taken aim at her and her new running mate, Walz, who signed a bill in Minnesota allowing people, trying to make sure that wasn't playing, allowing people without authorization to be in the country to sign up for driver's license. So that was one thing that he did do in Minnesota. Basically allowing for illegal immigrants, or I guess not completely illegalized immigrants or whatever, to sign up for driver's license. I don't really know where that really is that big of a deal. I mean, at least to some degree, it makes them registered and legal as far as being able to, be mobile around the state or around their area. It also gives you the ability to know that where they are, their location, give them an address. I don't really know that that's really too crazy of an idea, why that's so much of an issue. I don't know. I could see a lot of positives with that. I'm sure there's some negatives, I guess, could be thrown at that. Like I guess some people would consider that kind of like a privilege thing. I don't know where that's so much of a privilege. I mean, I guess you could say, but not in a way that they are getting privileged over anybody else. It's kind of a stupid thing to hit them on. Anyways, rather than shying away from the issue, Harris is punching back. She's playing up her law enforcement record and saying Trump wanted to worsen conditions on the border to help his chances of getting elected, which is true. when he told Republicans to back out of the deal that they had. We all know about the deal that was um, put together by Democrats and Republicans uh, that Donald Trump basically killed by telling, his sort of sycophants in the House and stuff to vote against it because he wanted to use it as a election art, issue. Uh, so he basically got it killed. That's just what it is. The new ad marks a change in tone for Harris on the border. As a Democratic senator, Harris forcefully led the charge against Trump's harsh immigration policies. She protested Trump's Muslim ban on travelers, which was silly, and when his ban, and when the Trump administration began separating children from parents at the border, another bad thing that happened. She called for resignation of Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security and said the country needs to think about starting from scratch when it comes to immigration enforcement systems. As VP, she worked to secure $5.2 billion in investments to El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras to boost the local economies and fight corruption in an effort to convince people living there not to migrate to the north. We have the infamous, part where she basically, told migrants don't come. That was. I wasn't completely agreeing with her on that, although she should have had the backing of every Republican on that one. In recent months, Harris has been part of an effort by Biden administration to take tougher measures on the border and stopping illegal migration. In May, Biden moved to restrict the number of asylum cases that would be heard at the border, a rightward shift by his administration designed to slow the high numbers of people that were crossing, being brought to the southern border by smugglers. The move has already been very impactful. Border apprehensions have gone down from a December high of 250,000 to 83,000 in July. That's border crossings and stuff have come down tremendously since he did the executive order. It hasn't really fixed the issue, obviously, but they certainly have come down. I mean, they were already coming down, but they've come down even more. But I think oftentimes the argument at this is people often, I think, are thinking of like this many, say even the 83,000 there, is that being like unique crossings, like 83,000 individually unique people are tried to come across, and that's not necessary. That's matter of fact, oftentimes not the case. 83,000, and that's like that's just crossings. It's not saying that those are unique individuals crossing over. It's just crossings, period. And oftentimes you wind up having the same people trying to attempt to cross over and over and over and over again, because those people come in, we send them back over. They attempt to come in again, we send them back over. Now, I'm not saying that all this is that, but there's a high percentage of that happening. Now, some are released that are seeking asylum, at times to then come back for a hearing, in a certain point, and their case be heard as to whether they are legitimately asylum case or not. And if they are, then, they're given asylum. If not, they're sent back. That's the case too. But I think a lot of people think when they see these numbers of crossings, they think those are like unique crossing numbers, and that all of those people are just being released in the country, and that's just not the case. That's just blatantly wrong. Matter of fact, under Biden, he has deported more crossers than Trump did under his administration. Now, granted, you can argue, oh yes, but he has had more crossings than Trump did under his, yes, conditions because of COVID and other issues that are happening in some of these countries that a lot of times is our fault, sanctions and other things that we've done that have crippled their economy and even their security and stuff, and has in some cases even bolstered crime and the cartels and stuff, uh, forcing and pushing people to come to north out of those countries because they're fearing. That's what a lot of the people that are seeking asylum for is the fear of that they have at home, for their life, and they're coming up here, and it's a lot of times because of policies that we have placed on those countries, and so they. But a lot of times, like I said, those apprehensions and stuff are people who are constantly trying to cross. They're crossed, we send them back over. They cross again, we send them back over. They cross again, we send them. This is like a constant loop. A lot of times for a high percentage of these crossings. So there's a lot of nuance when it comes to this discussion and this issue that people don't take into account when they're just saying, oh, and where they're throwing up, oh, we just have to have open borders, and the Biden administration has just allowed people to just come in like crazy, and they're just not even stopping people. That's just utter bullshit. We do not have open borders. Biden remained in place the majority of the policies and stuff that Trump had in place for most of his administration, even continuing to build sections of the wall. I mean, he has by no means had an open border. He has been actually in some degrees, especially when it comes to deportations, he has been more hawkish than Trump was. Now, when it comes to asylum seekers and stuff, he has been way more liberal on that than Trump. Trump was extremely more hawkish on that, but I don't agree with that. I think our whole system needs to be recalibrated a little bit down there, and certainly needs way more stuff going on. Like there needs to be a lot more effort and money and resources placed at the border to handle things properly and responsibly. But by no means have we had an open border. But I know this is a big issue with this election, and the big issue against a Harris, and constantly arguing, her and Walz are just going to allow for open. That's what Trump has been spitting. It's one of the things that he spit during his conference yesterday, which was a very crazy conference, and he said a lot of crazy stuff that didn't make sense in it. I don't have any video of it. I did watch it, but it was basically he had about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes of his little stump speech kind of thing. I don't even understand why he agreed to do that conference. Because it was placed out like an emergency conference, like he was trying to warn the country of, and it just didn't he just blatantly threw out a bunch of lies against Harris and Walz, and just, did his standard stump speech to some degree, and then answered questions. Now, the question stuff was the majority of the press conference. And there was some good questions, some that didn't really matter, but he had some weird answers to some of the questions. I can't remember any of them offhand. But like this was one argument that he was throwing up was about the border and how there was just open borders and they were just gonna let people come in and crazy and whatnot. And that's just not the case. When I saw this border ad and article about Harris, it reminded me of that, and so I wanted to go over it a little bit. But yeah, it's not what I know that's a major issue, especially for what I haven't completely, honestly, figured out what audience I have. I know I don't have a lot of audience yet, but those that I do have, I'm not exactly completely sure where you lie on the political spectrum. So, in case of those who are a little more right wing, leaning, maybe even Trump fans, that might be why you're only watching maybe a minute or two of my video and then you click off. But understand that you're not being told everything. Matter of fact, you're just blatantly being lied to in a lot of these issues. Um, so, like was talking about in my previous video dealing with the Algerian boxer, um, I'm going to strain, uh, strongly suggest start looking up a little bit more, um, and don't just take Trump's word for what he says, or even JD Vance at this point, because he's full of it too. And just like don't take Harrison Walls either. Like what they say, look it up and see if they're being honest. Look it up and see if what they are saying, the claims that they are making, if there's actual merit in it, or is it being like stretched in a way or manipulated in a way to make it sound like it's something that it's not. Just try to be a little more deep on and nuanced in these discussions on these policy issues and differences between the two. And I'm telling you, if you really do look, you will start to see little by little where the percentage of things that one side says versus the percentage of things that other side says, in being like honest, you're gonna see a difference. Like I said, neither one of them are 100%, but one of them is significantly less honest than the other. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, thank you very much, and if you like this content and stuff, consider subscribing, like, share, all that good stuff. And until next time, it's been Clear Talk. Peace. I'm out.